Okay, folks, here we go again. This is Ron Kreider, and we are looking at the Simian automation program. There will be quite a few videos on this. I've been doing Simian since the company almost was started by Ron Burley. I've been doing it since Windows 95 and then 2000 and so forth and so on. So I know a little bit about it, but I'm still not an expert. The guys at BSI really know a lot about it, like Michael and Alex and those guys. But I'm just going to give you some pointers. Just to start off, this is the log for a radio station in Palm Beach, WPBV. And as you can see, it's 90 degrees down there right now today. And today is August the 8th of 2017. If you look over here, you'll see the @ sign. Just so you know, the @ sign always means I'm going to do this at 1637. No matter what happens, it will interrupt anything that's on the area. It will play that. The plus sign says I'm going to play this next, then I'm going to play this next, then I'm going to play that next. And then at the @ sign, I'm going to go back to SW4. Well, what is SW4? SW4 is going to put the barracks network back on the air. In this particular case, it's EWTN. Now, for the Catholic stations, and that's what this station is, we put a lot of the spots, rather than manually scheduling them all over the place, we put them in carts. So we have carts A, B, C, and they play very frequently. They don't have a lot of commercials. They don't have a lot of sponsors. So what we do is we then drag in these files, these 1-minute files, into these carts, and they have the ability to play either sequentially, one right after the other, or depending on how the cart is set up, the cart can be set up so that they happen randomly. In this particular case, this cart is set up to go sequentially. Now, I'm going to switch it to randomizing. So what it's going to do is now it's going to play one and then another and another, and it all out of order until it finishes that sequence, and then it will start over again with a brand new sequence. So that's the purpose of carts. It makes it easy. This particular station was set up using natural grid as opposed to natural log, because natural grid was much easier to set up. They don't really much care about their spots being totally scheduled. Now, there is a way that you can go into the system and you can find out when they played. But what's happening here on this log is it will show you when these spots played as opposed to playing them when you want them played. And that's the difference between natural log and natural grid. So we use natural grid on this station to build their logs. Natural grid shows up here, and it's a very inexpensive program. It costs less than $100, like $99. And when you go into this natural grid log, and it shows you the clocks, and these clocks are scheduled. We have a clock for each one of the EWTN clocks. And let's give you an example of an EWTN clock. Here's a B clock for EWTN. They only have 13, 14 clocks, so it's not a big deal to set them up. And you put these commands in here, just like you see here. And remembering the @ side, it's going to happen, and then immediately at that time, and then the rest of these are going to play one right after the other, and then at the @ sign it's going to play at 2:15, and the @ sign is going to play at 2:57, and so forth. I'm going to do a special video just on natural grid, which is quite easy to use, and it's inexpensive, and it's not hard to deal with. I'm going to back this up because I haven't backed it up for a while, so there it goes. Now it's backed up. I can get out of here and move on. The purpose of this video was to show you a couple of things when you're setting up Simian Pro. You need to know these things. Now, I have this program is currently running, but for the moment, there's not going to be another break until 1657. Right now, it's 1643. So I'm going to take you into the tools, and we're going to go to the programs first. In the program options, we usually set everything to fire off. We're not using triggers on EWTN, but we turn all these other things on, like the timed events, because we want to be able to fire things. The serial needs to be set up because that serial lets these serial events happen, like switching SW1, the switcher, on, and the timed events, so on and so forth. So we click all of these except the triggers because we're not using the triggers. This says what's going to be shown down here. The recorder is going to be shown, the recorders. And we want to log cuts within cuts. We want to show the labels within the cart, so we collect this. You can come back and refer to this in the future. At the moment, I haven't checked any of these items. You can see how this is set up. This will get you going. So on paths, for example, one of the things that I did set up on the paths is that the audio MDB file is there. Let's go to the next event, which is the audio editor. Now, the audio editor is Audacity, and I'll show you how and why we want Audacity there. And let me give you an example right now. So if I bring up, go to Event Builder, right-click, and hit Event Builder, and I'm going to bring up Holy Week, and I'm going to bring up this particular file. Let's bring it up in the audio. I can right-click on this particular one. Let's right-click on this and then hit Audio Editor. So right here, it's going to bring up Audacity. It's an inexpensive, cheap program. It costs nothing, actually. So it's very cheap. You can get in here and do all the edits you want, save them, and put them back. So that's why I set that up, so that on the fly, you can jump in here and edit something if you need to, and it's a really good feature. Now let's go back here to Tools again, and we're going to go back to the Program Options, and we're going to go jump back into Paths. I'll do this more intently in the foreseeable future. The most probably important thing in here was to set the recorders up. Now I have recorder number 1 set up so that it saves all of the recordings that were recorded in a file called recordings. And I'll show you where they are in just a second here. So that's an important feature, and this, you can go in here and set those up. Another thing that's important, if we go to the, everything's important, but if we go to the hardware, and we strongly recommend that you use an ASI card, and this has an ASI 5211 card in it. And they're expensive, almost $700. They cost more than some of these computers costs. But once you get those set up, that's a good thing. And get them into the computer, you'll notice these things when you set up your player. You want to set ASI output number 1 on 1 and number 2 on 2, because it says 2 here. Number 3 will be on 3, and number 4 will be on 4. This says the speakers, we have little speakers, cost $15. They're very inexpensive. They're going to be on the USB. Now, the reason for those speakers is so we can audition something. So that's important to set those up. The other important thing is, here is the ASI. It's going to be set up to the audio science card. It's going to be set up to the input of the ASI card. So anything that comes into this inexpensive, this particular card, I think is around, it might be $600. And when the audio comes in here on this recorder, it will come in on input 1, and anything that's on over here will be recorded right there. And this is how you set the various devices on that. On the hardware, we have a Broadcast Tools SS 8.2 switcher, so both of these need to be set to the SS 8.2, and there's drop-down menus for that. The serial Comport, this is tricky. This particular one is going to be on Comport 4. All these numbers need to be the same. 9600, polarity none, the data bits 8, stop bit 1, and this one usually, when you get it, is going to be set on hardware, and it should be set on none. So that's very important. This is carriage return line feed, carriage return line feed. Those all need to be set exactly like that. Network, there's nothing you have to worry about at network here at the moment, nothing in connectors. Those items will get you going with Simian, and it's a marvelous program. There's a couple of things you need to understand about it. One, never try to make files longer than 8 letters and numbers, no spaces, no dashes, no dots, everything together, just like you see here. Gold 60A, Gold 60B, ID cart. A lot of people try to write small stories about the file name. That doesn't mean that when you put something in here that you can't write a description, a good description for it, someplace else. Now, let me show you how to do that. We'll go into Edit File Information, and this is the rosary. So I'm going to bring this up for a second. Take a look at this. So here's the rosary, and we're going to bring it into the info editor. And I wrote rosary up here. Now, why did I write that there? I wrote that there so when this plays back, and it plays back on the internet, on your internet radio or your iPhone, it's going to say that it's doing the rosary. And that's an important thing. Bingo, here's another one. I'm going to bring this one up for you, and you'll see that in Bingo, probably a better description of what's happening here. It says Bingo, and it says Bingo Monday and Fridays. That's going to show up on your iPhone. It's going to spin around as it's playing. It says Bingo is on Mondays, on Fridays. So when you're looking at your iPhone, you're going to see that taking place. If you put nothing in there, you're not going to see anything. And so it's a very important item that you have to name all these things. And this is cool. This is really good. A lot of people don't name them. They just get, well, now it's working, so it sounds good, and I don't really care. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that we get plenty of play out of this, and we get a lot of bang for our buck for the people who are paying. Now, here was a Catholic calendar we ran February and March of 2017. And Deacon Dick, who is the deacon of the church down there, he's the person who did it. That's all going to appear on your iPhone or on the internet radio. So this is just a short video to kind of give you a very quick generalization of what's going on here. I'm going to go over here and show you that, for example, I'm going to save something here. Now, if I wanted to quickly on the fly record something down here, all I need to do is hit the record button, and now you see the little meters are going up and down, and this recorder is currently set up to record whatever is going out over the air. Now, through the switcher that we have set up, we can record something off of EWTN, we can record whatever's going out over the air, or we can record something else that we put into the switcher. But right now, that's what it's recording, and it's being labeled Untitled. Again, it's a quick overview of the BSI program. It's a super program. We love it. It works. It's very, very, very reliable. It's inexpensive. It's under $1,600, like $1,599, $1,500. And you own it. They'd like you to buy a service package, and if you'd like to do so, you can. They have great service. The people really know what they're doing out there. But it's a terrific package for a radio station. You spend a couple $100,000 on a radio station. What's $1,500 for a really good program? I strongly urge you to buy natural log if you're a commercial station, because that's another way to get a lot of your spots on, get all your spots on, and get the system programmed really well. Anyway, that's what we got so far, and there'll be more videos coming, so just keep watching and let me know if you like what we're doing. Thanks a lot.